Let go of control and all my troubles go away. Meditating every day until the shadow is revealed. Unconditional love permeating my field. I let go and let God. Why not? She's got it. I let go and let God.
Yo,
Let's go.
Podcast episode number 9. This one is all about fasting.
We're always looking for the magic pill in society, and whether it's weight loss or curing our ailments or preventing like disease or cancer, and you have this pill at your fingertips right now. The question is, do you have the courage to take it? That pill is fasting.
Yeah, for
and that's
sure.
why I say courage. I probably say courage and strength because it's well, you can explain it. You're on a fast right now. It takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah, I mean, I love going back because we've been fasting since I did a speech back in 2020. So I think we started, I would guess somewhere in 2019 if I had to guess.
Yeah.
And so we've been fasting in the early years. We'd do 2 fasts a year, a 5, sometimes 2 5 days, or a 5-day and a 3-day water fast, just water with just some salts and minerals. And then and the reason we did that was because the evidence of the benefits was so profound that we couldn't look away. Right.
Yeah.
It's like no one wants to fast. No, like food is one of the most favorite parts about being human.
Yeah.
Eating, trying out dishes, enjoying our favorite drinks and foods. But it was too hard to pass up. The more we kept reading about fasting and the benefits of it, you just couldn't turn it down. So that's why we just started taking a shot at it. And we learned a lot of things by fasting. And when it comes to healing our own internal body's healing properties and just a more of a spiritual internal like discovery of our like will and how
Strength,
discipline and
courage.
Strength inside we are. Fasting does those two things. I mean, if you think about it, fasting has been going on since our species evolved into what it is now, or even before that. I was even looking at that, even up towards about 3000 BC, when written language was just starting to happen. Like they've found writings of fasting, preparing for rituals, all kinds of things, and that was more just like you connect more to the source when you're not filling your body up with all kinds of junk or food and your body's processing it all. So you become, everything quiets down, and then you become more connected to the divine. And then more people started writing about it as the years go on. Every single religion mentions it. And says to practice it. And then Hippocrates, he's considered the father of medicine around like 460 BC to 370 BC. And he was a big proponent on fasting, and one of his quotes says, "The natural forces within us are the true healers of disease." And there was another one he talked about, everyone has a physician inside them. We just need to help it in its work. And then he has a lot more details into what he means on that. But like, to me, it's pretty simple. Our greatest healing capabilities are internal. And then we build up these programs in our system. As we evolved going without food for a while. We evolved, we go days without food. So our bodies build in these programs. One of them, a lot of you know about, is like the ketogenic diet. You start eating only meat and vegetables, cut out all the carbs, and your body kicks into this ketogenic. It switches its fuel state from basically carbs or glucose to ketones
Mm-hmm.
or
Fats.
fats. So essentially our body just switches. Hey, oh, we're not getting enough of this. I'm going to switch and I'm going to start burning this other stuff, which is a pretty remarkable thing that our body developed this intelligence to do. So
Yeah.
there's one. So it's like, hey, you could start burning fat immediately. Like you talked about, it's, hey, you have this tool to lose weight. Boom, that's the easiest way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the easiest way you could do it is start with a 24-hour fast or an intermittent fast, but a 24-hour fast, and get kicked in right to that ketogenic, and then just start eating meat and vegetables, no carbs, no bread, any of that junk packaged food. Do that for 2 weeks. I guarantee you'll lose 10 to 15 pounds.
Yeah. 100%.
Add walking and exercise into it. I mean, you're going to really start on some of the gain losses.
One of the things you mentioned about stuff we've learned is fasting is the number one thing I go to for healing. Something's ailing me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worked successfully in the past. You know, I've talked about briefly on here before where I had some like cognitive psyche issues where it was one of it is obsessive compulsive disorder, but in with like intrusive thoughts. That was one of them. And then I had like a different ailment where psychologically, and I didn't know what it was. And I remember just going straight to fasting. It was like the only thing that like healed it. So I do just like that one year, I think it was 2021, I probably did like 4 or 5 day fasts within a year. You know, I was hammering them because I would do something, the ailment would return to the psyche issue would return. I would go back to a 5-day fast, right? Heal it again, happen again. And like I would do something, I'd figure out what would trigger it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And each thing would trigger it. And then I would go back and do a 5-day fast. And like marijuana, for example, would trigger it. And some other things. And so then fasting was the only thing. And it helps with other stuff. Just like, I remember having, what was it? I just did a dry fast in October, did like a silent retreat and a dry fast. And I forget what it was. I was dealing with like some type of pain. It was in my shoulder, something that had been hurting for a while. And all of a sudden, like I did that, and it wasn't like it's not like it was a magic 100% healed, but it was like 80% like pain and went away. And just discomfort and pain went away from it. And it was like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah.
That's
One of the
powerful.
major benefits, and a lot of people report the same thing when prolonged fasting. So you have prolonged fasting, which is more than a day. And then you have intermittent or time restricted eating, which you eat in a certain window. You restrict your window down to say 8 to 10 hours that you eat in there, and then you fast those other hours. So if you say stop eating at 7 p.m. and then you start eating again at 11 a.m. to noon. So it's like 11 a.m. to 7, 8 hours you only eat within. And then those others, that's an intermittent, time restricted. And then prolonged fasting is what we're talking about, where you start seeing some nice effects 1 to 2 days, but you really kick it in once you get like 2.5, 3 day up into a 5 day.
Yeah.
And a lot of the research around is that like there's a huge increase of stem cell production when you on a prolonged fast, and I think that's what's helping cure your shoulder, all the other ailments. Like I did it a lot when I was having a lot of skin issues, and I think it helped me a ton on my journey of healing my skin. And one of the when you think about it, it's like athletes. I hear Joe Rogan talking about it. A lot of fighters and stuff. They're traveling places to get stem cell injections. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
you could do it just by fasting. You could save a ton of money by fasting, and then pumping those stem cells, and it goes to heal. And like you did, you could do 2, 3, 4 in a year, and then next thing you know, your knee or your shoulder might be healed because
Yeah.
your stem cells. A lot of times when you produce new stem cells, from what I've read, stem cells, they're very adaptable, and they'll turn into other cells like in your knee, and then help regenerate your knee. They're not specific to one part of your body. You
Right.
have like certain cells that are only specific to certain part of your body. Like a stem cell like flows to wherever it needs help, turns into that cell and regenerates whatever it needs to.
I
It's like,
heard Dr. Pompa. I was listening to one of his videos, and he said when he was talking about autophagy, which we haven't talked about. Autophagy is another mechanism of
mhm,
biology that kicks in when you go into fasting.
mhm,
Essentially, it's like a garbage collector that comes in and just takes all the garbage that's accrued up in your body and from a cell perspective and cleans it up. And when he talked about that process, he talked about like when it gets rid of, sometimes they call them senescent cells that have kind of just like dwindled down and stopped working and have the potential to turn into tumors and proliferate. uh, it cleans those up, and once it does that, it replaces them with the stem cells, the way he explained it.
yeah,
Which would make
yeah,
sense, you know.
yeah. There, there was one study where it was shown to mice where it was shown that mice, when given a compound and cleared up their senescent cells,
Hmm.
that they're essentially dead or underperforming cells,
Hmm.
damaged. And when they gave like a mice this compound, it actually extended their life on average by 20%, which
Mm,
is insane if you think of a human. 100 years, 20 years,
20
like,
years.
I mean,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if it was even if it gave you an extra 5, it's like, whoa,
yeah.
now we're in business.
Dude, I was listening. I had a mice study in here. Yeah, here's one. So what's interesting when I started looking into the actual literature, the research of it, is there isn't a lot of like, randomized controlled trials, especially for long-term fasting, because
Mm,
like getting people on it and long-term fasting and proper controls and stuff, it's difficult, and there's like safety issues with long-term fasting, safety issues.
yeah.
uh, so there's not a lot. And so what tends to happen is, yeah, we're leveraging animal studies for some of this, um, or you get to a certain extent, like you're able to do however 48 hours, and then you can start developing the mechanism, the biological mechanism that then turns into it. But neither here nor there. One of the animal ones was, it says that tumors in fasting mice were about half the size of controls.
Mm,
And then calorie restriction reduces spontaneous tumor development.
mm,
It said, so that's just that prevents, we're talking about, it prevents spontaneous tumor development. It says 20 to 60% fewer tumors in rodents with calorie intake.
wow,
Um, yeah,
that's
when
incredible.
when you reduce when you reduce when you reduce calorie intake by 20 to 40%, you reduce tumors by 20 to 60%.
Damn. I mean, that makes sense. Like, all animals, I think, build in these similar programs because they have to go
Yeah.
without food for so long. So it's like when you go without food for so long, it's like a time to repair. And but usually the only time we have to like repair ourselves when most humans aren't eating is when we're sleeping. So you have that 7, 8
Hmm.
hours, but you can like amplify that repair process by fasting and stepping in, and then it's like double time when you're sleeping. So you're fasting, and then it's healing, and then you're sleeping, it's healing. And yeah, there's yeah, the autophagy, it essentially goes around your body and just clears up it just like rounds up all the damaged cells because it's kind of panicking. If you think
Hmm.
about it, your body's panicking. It's all right. Where am I going to get my energy to survive this?
Yeah.
Go hunt another animal to get more food. So it's like, all right, we're going to clean up all the dead cells, and then we're going to use them for energy, and that's literally what it does. And those are the ones that cause cancer. So if you think about it, if you do a routine fast yearly or twice a year, I mean, it's basically, I mean, nothing's foolproof, but it's basically going to prevent a lot of, damage, disease, cancers, and it,
Yeah.
to me, it's just science. We're talking about science. Yeah, this is it.
There's
Yeah.
there is research on what is it? So I looked in the cancer. So the mechanism they've kind of confirmed the mechanism for preventing cancer or helping with cancer is that fasting lowers blood glucose, insulin, and then IGF-1, which is insulin like growth factor. And
Hmm.
so many cancers are like IGF-1 dependent
Hmm.
or glucose dependent. Like this is what helps them grow. And if you starve them of that, they start to dwindle, right? So that's like the mechanism. There's research on humans supporting fasting and chemo. So that's something they've done, but obviously they're not going to, they're not going to do studies without chemo and just do fasting. But fasting and chemo is associated with fewer side effects and actually preserved immune cells. So, chemo will go in and destroy everything in order to destroy the bad, but fasting during it actually preserves some of your immune cells, which
Yeah,
was pretty powerful.
yeah, I read that chemo stuff. It basically protected because chemo caused a lot of damage, and it's like basically killing you along with killing the cancer, and that fasting along with it protected you and allowed it to just kill the cancer. And
Yep.
a pretty remarkable study, just studies on the few people they did it with so far.
So there was then you have like case studies. So there's case studies actually in the literature. So like single person case study type stuff. I have an example on that, but there's also case studies on Reddit. Uh, you know,
Mm.
and so I have a link, we can put it in the show notes, but people just sharing their stories of, hey, I fasted, or I was going to do X, Y, and Z. They was going to put me on chemo and the stringent thing. I
Mm.
fasted, for 10 days or like some drastic shit because they're willing to do it, and it curing their cancer. So it's obviously not like a randomized controlled trial, but here's one that was interesting. There's this one's in the literature. It's a case study. A guy, a 64-year-old patient, came in and he had severe coronary artery disease, and they actually called it, there's like two medical terms. Angina was the name, and it stands for uh, a condition marked by severe pain in the chest, and then dyspnea, which means difficult or labored breathing. So it was like a severe case, right? This
Mm.
guy's like ready to have a heart attack, and he did a 50-day continuous water only fast. Very drastic, right? Because this guy's ready to die.
Mm.
Um, they actually, and it basically healed his disease. It's pretty
Wow.
wild. And
Wow.
he, during all these like case studies that I saw, so I started looking in what are like the longest fasts. Like this one was a 50-day, but they ended up having to like kind of do IV fluids or like electrolytes or vitamin supplements boosts during it.
Hmm.
The longest fast, medically documented longest fast ever, was a Scottish guy who fasted for 382 days. He consumed only fluids, so like tea, coffee, vitamins, electrolytes, and he went from 456 pounds to 180. So he lost 276 pounds. There's a funny note that the Guinness Book of World Records used to have it, and then it took it out because they didn't want to promote records because safety concerns or whatever.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. And there's many case studies in the 60s, 70s where water only fasting up to 250 days with obese patients under supervision. They would give them like vitamin supplementation. So it's definitely out there. You started talking about the history of fasting. I was looking into history as well a little bit. And one thing that was interesting is I was trying to figure out, like, well, how do we know that fasting is like an evolutionary thing that's
Mm,
a part of survival, right? We don't have any evidence. And like the good evidence we have is that the modern day, the modern recent hunter gatherers, where we actually like have evidence of them, like the Hadzas, the Inuits, and Sans, they, when we kind of studied them, they reported regular like 1 to 5 day food gaps between failed hunts and like bad
mm,
conditions, weather
mm,
conditions and stuff. So that's like one piece of evidence where, it was adapted. This is something that like traditional hunter gatherers faced. And then you mentioned like 3,000 years ago, there's this old Egyptian medical text called the Ebers Papyrus. It's text or something, and it's like an old Egyptian medical text, and it actually recommends periods of food restriction or absence as a part of treatment or illness. Like, so is
mm.
that as part of health?
Yeah.
The Rig Veda references fasting, so that's 1500 BC, and the Old Testament talks about it. And these ones are actually interesting. So like the Old Testament, the like early Judaism, and then even the New Testament even recommends a decent amount of, or it talks about fasting. Like here's a few examples from the Old Testament. Is like David's child was like gravely ill, is what they say,
Mm.
and the Bible quote was, fasted and went in and lay all night on the ground. So just laid on like the earth and fasted and laid on the earth, and that was how he healed. How
Wow.
like the Old Testament is talking about healing David's son.
I mean, if you think about it, he's getting grounded by connecting with the
Exactly.
earth, the energy, the earth, electrons, and then he's fasting and his body's healing.
I
I mean,
loved
that's
it.
incredible. Plus, he's
There's
getting like
another one.
microbiome,
Oh
breathing
yeah,
biome from the nature, and wow.
yeah. And there was one. So they were. It was. So there's the Talmud is a text of people interpreting the Old Testament, like
Mm,
the Jewish community. I think was what the Talmud is, and it's all interpretations of roughly around 100 AD or 200 AD. So it's like within enough time frame of people remembering what happened and stuff, and so they're like interpreting it, and they talked about fast days as protective measures for the population. And so it described like communal fasts instituted during drought, famine, or plague, which was very
mm,
interesting.
mm. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, think of sports teams, right? Right. When or like even in our fraternity or sports teams, like you're doing hard things together, or the
Yeah.
military, or whatever. Even at your job, your work, you're all uh, joining in on a project, and the experience of like going through hard things together with other people is like very powerful. Now think about, you got this whole tribe of 50 people or 100 people all fasting, going through like one of the hardest things that you can imagine, going without water for days, going
Hmm.
without food for days, and then just, yeah, and how much connection that would build between you all. And then um
Yeah.
yeah, and just like how, to me, it's, you develop this like spiritual strength. It's like, who's in control? Is it
Yeah.
is it your desires? Is it this what is it, that voice in your head that's talking, saying to eat more sugar, eat more food, do this, do that. Oh, you need to, you're hungry, blah blah blah, you're thirsty. And to me, when you fast, it's like, oh, you're gaining back control. It's like, how strong am I? And it's
Hmm.
like how many times on our fast over the years, I'm on a 3-day fast right now. I'm on a 3-day water fast. I'll be done here in 2 hours.
Dry fast. You're
Dry,
actually not
yeah,
water.
drive. It was my first time of a dry fast, multiple day dry fast, and it's a whole other ball game than the water fast, because your mouth's just super dry after
Hmm.
day one. So It's just getting past that. At least on the water fast, I actually had something I could bring to my mouth and drink. So
Yep.
it's been a nice extra challenge for me. And yeah, why'd I go on the water fast rant?
Oh, you were going on the rant of it's like a powerful spiritual
Oh
experience,
yeah,
and
yeah, and
you discover who you are.
mm,
I kind of think about it
yeah,
because you were just kind of talking about how you have to overcome like these thought pattern, like the thought patterns kick in, and everything, like everything in your body, your neuroses, you have these, chemical wiring in your brain, physical and chemical wiring in your brain that's like very strong habits that you have to overcome. And it's like,
mm,
who are you really? Like, are you this person that are you behind all of that? Right?
mm-hmm,
And I think it's that is a spiritual experience.
mm-hmm. And then it's like to me, you gain more appreciation, more gratitude. Like even on the water fast, this is the first time where I've built like extreme gratitude for a glass of water. Right?
Yeah.
I've never had that. It's came easy to me all my life, and then now, man, I would kill to have. I've been going about 2 days now, just wanting killed to have a glass of water and just chug that
Yeah.
thing. Right? And it's
Yeah.
like, and I've have now, and same on the other fast that we do when you're like when you eat that first bite of food after 5 days of fasting, just like you have a whole much more appreciation for that blueberry or that yogurt
Hmm.
or just a cup of bone broth. Like it's just an incredible experience of gratitude, appreciation for these things that we've taken for granted that, as you shared with some of those tribes, they naturally go 1 to 5 days often without
Hmm.
food and water. And it's just become so easy to us.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can imagine. Uh, I've been reading. You read a little bit about the early settlers and how when they went hungry, that was a huge problem, right? Like going hungry, and so like this isn't intentional fasting. This isn't even hunter gatherers. This was the 1400s, 1500s, and the state of mind they went into when they went hungry, to a point where like cannibalism came in, right?
Mhm.
And uh there's a few stories in The Big Chief Elizabeth. There's a book you and I both read around the earliest of early, like the stories of the original settlers, and I think that that's that's where your mind goes, and your body goes when you hit that level of prolonged fasting. Is it
Yeah.
like it can go into some deep dark uh paths.
Yeah.
uh
There's so many of those stories where people fall into cannibalism and just think of, like, that's like
yeah.
think of how hungry they were at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
But if you practiced some fasting here and there, they could have probably went a little bit longer and maybe not ate their fellow man or woman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. You would
Yeah.
have a different, I think you may have had like a different view on it. You'd have a different gratitude and different perspective
Hmm.
of it, cuz I can't remember how many days that was where they went hungry, but it's like, I mean, that's a crazy shift. And so then what was one of the things I wanted to mention? Um yeah, food is like an addiction.
Oh yeah,
It
it's one of the
like
biggest addictions.
sugar, etc. And it's like we think about it and we shame people, we judge people for being addicted to whatever substance and or activity or whatever, but we're all addicted to food. And you find out that very quickly once you fast for
Hmm.
any, even a 24-hour fast. You because it's all we think about. Like it's all I tend to think about, and it's like we create these neuroses where we're thinking about food to get us through the day, to overcome insecurities and overcome things. And so it gives us something to think about and do and put our attention on, and yada yada yada. And it's just even you find yourself with boredom. Like even my kids, like there's like, I want a snack. It's like, no, you're just bored. You don't want a snack. And I do the same thing.
It's a dopamine machine as well. It continues to get that dopamine hit, right? And so it's like, and then you were talking about how we're always thinking about food. Like we're always thinking about the next meal, even when we're eating the current meal. We're always thinking about food 24/7, or the next drink that we're gonna get. And even just this recent fast that I'm on now, it's just a great reminder of, once you take that out, man, I focus. I'm more calm, I'm a little more irritable sometimes, just because you're going through a fast and you can't have what you have. But like spiritually, like when I meditate, I'm like, it's more clear up there. It's more serene. I get into a deeper meditation quicker. My body's not processing food. I'm not thinking about food. And then even just at work, I'm working. I'm not thinking about that lunch meal that I have in my bag here, getting ready to eat, or I'm not thinking about what drink I'm about to drink, and I'm thinking, it's like a distraction from my relationships and my work. So it's just nice. And then that carries on even when you refeed, when you start to eat again, and it'll carry on for another week or two, and then you'll get kind of caught back up into it. But it's a very powerful spiritual tool that, I love the challenge of it. Just getting back into it now. I usually do one a year, two a year. And it's one of the biggest challenges. Oh, but run a marathon, try a 5-day fast, buddy.
Yeah. 100%.
That's like, it's truly one of the hardest things. And then combined with that strength you build there, but you have all these other things that we talked about, the autophagy program and the ketogenesis that steps in, and then all these benefits that come with it. Even on the intermittent fasting. So we've been doing that for, I don't know how long, probably 8-9 years. The intermittent fasting, where you're just restricting it down to a window, there's an insane amount of studies that just show if you keep the same exact diet, and then all you do is narrow the window of your eating habits, you'll build lean muscle mass, which to me is incredible. And then you'll lose fat mass, and like you'll reduce inflammation, improve like glucose intolerance. Like imagine if our society took that pill instead of the one that we're all taking currently. And it reduced, there was one other one, it reduced breast cancer risk by 36% just by eating an 11-hour window. I mean, I'm usually eating in like an 8, 9, maybe 10-hour, but that all you got to do is reduce it to 11 or 12-hour.
Wow.
It helps sleep, higher mitochondrial volume, higher mitochondria, just by intermittent fasting.
Yep.
It's like, start there.
Even fast mimicking diet, the fast mimicking diet by Walter Longo, it had similar effects. That I was listening to Dr. Pompa talk about Longo's research, and he was saying that there's research to show that his fast mimicking diet has more autophagy than some long-term fasting. Like, and it's like very like hyper calorie restriction. Fast mimicking is basically like 500 calories a day or something along those lines. And I can't remember the specific protocol, but you easily look it up. But there's a ton of research around fast mimicking diets in the same way. So if you don't want to go full blown long-term water fast or dry fast, you can ease into it and start that way, fast mimicking. Because really you just want to get into a ketogenic state. You just want to go through periods of ketogenic state. And so then just for like some tips on, you talked about lean muscle mass. That is something they've shown uh, as a potential risk, right? It can cause lean muscle mass loss, and but one of the things that Dr. Pompa talks about is like you should do feast days to prevent muscle loss. And so,
Hmm.
like, let's say you're intermittent fasting, you should have like 1 or 2 feast days in the week where you have no fasting window, and you just eat, 3-4 times a day, and then go back into it. And he said that can help prevent um, lean mass muscle loss. And then also Dr. Piatia, I heard him talking about it. It was like working out, strength training while you're fasting is another one to prevent. And he actually recommended uh, supplementing with proteins. I think amino acids. I can't remember specifically, but like a protein supplement during it. And he was saying that if he had to go back, that's what he would add to his regimen, because he would always do a lot of strength training during his fast and his long-term
Mm.
fast, but he would add like a protein supplement. So I
Yeah.
know there's like amino acid pills you can take that are like that shouldn't affect your or break your fast.
Hmm.
And yeah, and then like the protocol for like a good water fast for someone wanting to try it is like you can get like, you would want to do like, you want to add like sea salt and minerals, especially for first person trying it. So you do sea salt in your water, or there's this product, it's like ocean minerals. You can put a drop in it, so it has like your sodium, potassium, chloride, all those key minerals that will keep you hydrated, and so you don't have like the bad headaches, or like, because this will like put you through a detox as well,
Hmm.
and so you could have some negative effects. And so yeah, you can that can that's a good way to prevent some of those ailments, is just to add a little bit of sea salt and or like those ocean minerals.
The
And
hardest
then
part's like that 22 to 26, 28 hours. That's probably the hardest part, where you get a little bit of headaches and your body's starting to, uh, those programs are starting to kick in, the
mhm,
ketogenic, you're starting to switch fuels, and then the autophagy. That's when you start to, and then once you get over that hump, then it's not that bad,
yeah, there's like
as you would
another
think.
lull in like the 3 days. Like if you're on your 5 days, there's another lull in like the 3 days, or 4 days or so.
Yeah.
I definitely get like an irritability, and then sometimes I find myself like kind of fatigued, where I would just want to take a nap,
Yeah,
or I go to
for
bed
sure.
earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I
and
just did
and a
that
lot of
last
it's like
night.
I want more sleep, because now it's more repair. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
When you're sleeping, you're repairing. And that's one of the things actually I've failed to mention, is that since we eat all day, when we're thinking about food, that like our mind's at work, and then when we're eating food, all of our organs are at work. The metabolic process is like a very energy consuming process. And so when you fast, it's like all your organs can take a break,
Hmm.
and then shift all the energy that you'd be shifting towards food to healing, and like repairing your body and getting it ready for to ensure it survives. And so that's essentially what it's doing.
Yeah.
And
It actually shows where it increases NAD or NAD plus. It's this like fancy like supplement people have been taking, but our body produces it naturally. But when you're fasting, it actually shows it increases it extensively, which is important for like some of the metabolic process and
mhm,
enzymes.
mhm,
But it also, it's like um, it helps produce, or it helps the mitochondria get the energy it needs.
mm,
The NAD, it's very
mhm,
important for that. So when our bodies are damaged, we have those damaged cells, or we have chronic disease, our NAD levels are down a lot.
mm,
So then our mitochondria are doing extra work, producing extra energy, and are working overtime. So if you think about it, fasting's going up, it's clearing out all those dead cells, cleaning all up, using those for energy. Then it's giving you more NAD for your mitochondria to produce more energy. And like Chris Masterjohn was just talking about on Joe Rogan of how your mitochondria in energy is like the key to like success, life and success and longevity for humans. And it's all about trying to give them the most opportunity to thrive and build more energy or have more energy given to them.
I feel like in today's day and age where our toxic burden is so high, it's probably the highest in all time in human history. Our toxic burden on us between drinking, breathing, our air, PFAs in our cookware, petrochemicals and everything, all the stuff we touch, our laptops, probably my desk, our clothes, microplastics, aluminum in our pharmaceuticals, and goes on and on, pesticides and herbicides and all of it, right? And like our toxic burden's so high that we're just constantly going through so much inflammation that it almost needs to be a requirement. Like if you want to prevent disease, cancer, etc., like this it's almost going to need to be a requirement because our toxic burden's so high that like it's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone around us, like you hear people, friends, parents, and there's so many acquaintances, like everybody has like it's like 1 in 2 people have like cancer nowadays, probably higher, and at younger ages. And it's because it's like we have so much toxicity in our environment, and this fasting can like help you because it's like a reset. And yeah, I just that's why that's what motivated me. And not only that, it's like one of the things that there's a good guy, Dr. Berg, and he was going through some of the things that the benefits, and one of the number one benefit he wrote on there is it regrows brain cells, like fasting. And so like, do you want to be a better do you want to have better thinking, better mental health? Fasting can help. Some of these we already talked about, but
well, and as we age, like all these things are decreasing. Our testosterone's decreasing, our NAD's decreasing, our mitochondria health is decreasing, the senescent cells are increasing, where our muscle strength at age 55, it just like falls off a cliff. Our muscle atrophies. So it's like when you fast, especially as you age, then it's like giving you a boost. It's helping you sustain longevity for all the organism inside us. It's like what Hippocrates and all those other people said, been saying for thousands of years.
When you mentioned that Hippocrates quote, I was remembering Dr. Weston A. Price. He has a quote on the front of his book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. It says, "Life in all its fullness is Mother Nature obeyed." And it reminded me of the Hippocrates quote. And it's just like powerful. This is Mother Nature. Fasting is Mother Nature. Is Mother Nature obeyed? And yeah, that's what popped in my head.
There was one more big benefit. I don't know if you're going to go into this, but that's not as common as some of these others, but like repairing your gut and your microbiota in your gut.
No, I wasn't.
And because I remember reading about this, and it helped increase like beneficial bacteria and reduce the harmful bacteria, because a lot of those harmful inflammatory bacteria in our guts feed on crap food, carbs, sugars, all that. So if you cut it off, they just kind of die off, and then our good bacteria increase, because it's like you get rid of the bad and then they start proliferating. So it increases like microbial diversity. And then I started looking it up. Almost 40% of the US adults have some sort of chronic digestive gut related condition. And and then even more than that, repeat like gut symptoms daily. And it shows that actually one of the biggest issues in society is leaky gut, where we've eaten such a terrible diet that, or, and consume the toxins that you talked about, that we start getting a leaky gut, start getting holes in our stomach lining. And then fasting actually, it takes a break, and then in that healing process when we're sleeping, it helps tighten our intestinal injunctions. So it's helping repair leaky gut and give you good bacteria and harmful bacteria, which is great for the mind, and a
I
myriad of
wonder,
other
like,
things.
how, when you're talking about that, especially like leaky gut, because that leads to autoimmune disease a lot of times. I wonder, like, how much fasting could help all the autoimmune diseases if you could just do like a couple long-term fasts. And you got to think, because that's like deep kind of dysbiosis of your body. It's like it's like out of whack. It's attacking its own cells and stuff. So I got to think that, like, it could severely help. There was a few things talking about autoimmune disease I saw, but there's they need to do like a shit ton of research, where like they need to do like voluntary research with people like us, where it's kind of like a longitudinal study where they follow along people who are doing like fasting, and we could opt in and just give them our like updates and stuff. I feel like, but they definitely need more research, because it was difficult finding a lot, especially long term fasting. It was difficult finding a lot of it.
Yeah, it's to me, just start implementing it into your life. I've got a decent amount of people at my old work, and that's tried it out and even done upwards of 5 days. Some of the other folks did like 2.5, 3 days, and a significant amount of folks. And then I got great joy in seeing them and how proud they were in themselves to complete a 5-day fast. I mean,
Yeah.
it's right up there with any type of physical achievement that you can have.
100%. It's 100%.
So it's like,
because there's a lot of people, when you mention it to them, they're like, I can't do that immediately. Like, I can't. Even one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking was our Aunt Lynn passed away. I think it was 2015. I want to say was the time frame when she passed.
yeah.
I think that's roughly 11 years ago. And I remember sending her literature on chemo and fasting together.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Wow.
And then I remember sending Aunt Gwen, who passed away from cancer as well, similar literature. And then I remembered that it's just difficult to change. You have to come to the realization yourself, or a doctor would have to prescribe it to you. But anyway, the reason I mentioned that is because, what was the reason I mentioned that? Where was I headed with that?
We were just talking about the benefits of fasting and why to do it, and
yeah, it's just it's that difficult that even cancer patients aren't willing to
oh yeah,
to do it, right?
yeah.
Because it's that much of a feat. And one thing that I remember learning over the years is like, when you break your fast, like, don't drink within the like alcohol within the next like 3 days. It could really wreck your results and your body. And then when you break your fast, you have to do it lightly. Do purees, fruits and vegetables, and slowly work back into harder cheeses, eggs, meat, like 3 days in, 2-3 days in.
Dr. Pompa, you mentioned him earlier. He one of his most important things within a fast was the refeed of the fast. So it's like ensuring that you eat very high quality food, and then I think he even suggested not eat meat at least the second day, but even 3 days after, just because
Yeah, I
your
think it was 3 days
body's
in.
you got to get your enzymes back in your stomach and your gut lining. So it's like eating yogurts, like soft foods,
Yeah.
cooked vegetables, blueberries,
Broth.
avocado,
Yeah.
broth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then what they've shown is on that prolonged fast, you actually they did X-rays of people on the prolonged fast where all their organs shrink. They shrink significantly. So it's like clearing up all those dead cells on the outside, using
Mm,
those for energy, and then it's regenerate, and then they see them grow as you refeed. So it
mm,
grows either back to a similar. So it's like you're fortifying all your organs and helping them grow, and you're becoming a stronger human being, a stronger species after it.
and
It's
and
incredible.
and literally, I couldn't find this, but literally, you're becoming stronger if you. I remember someone advocating for working out, like strength training, after you fast, after you
Oh yeah,
refeed.
yeah.
Because I remember it would be like, yeah, you lose lean muscle mass, but you actually build more on the back end of it if you're doing strength training because
Mm-hmm.
of your stem cell production.
Mm-hmm.
And so it creates this like proliferation of like testosterone and all of the like the important uh yeah, it's a reset, and so your body's ready to fucking put it in an overdrive to strengthen your body, and so you can add it back. They there's studies where they increase lean muscle mass. There's some where it goes down, but if you do it the right way, you can increase lean muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's people out there that are like are telling people on YouTube. Like I watched a video of one of those influencers, thought leader people, and she was basically advocating for not doing like long-term fast because of lean muscle mass loss.
Mm. Like even the I mean, we've been doing it for so long, and we have some solid lean muscle mass, I would say. But
Yeah, yeah.
like even when I do it, I don't notice. It's so insignificant that I don't even notice it,
Hmm.
even once I start the refeed. But then I know it's gaining back because
Yeah,
I don't notice a big difference. So
yeah.
if anything, it's
You gain your weight right back within
yeah.
3 or 4 days.
And in the muscle, I don't see anything even close to worth even noticing. I'm definitely more lean, very lean the next week or two
And
or month.
I actually saw a few like studies and the mechanism behind it. And it's like the volume of muscle mass goes down, but the strength and the function of your muscles go up.
Mm,
And it's like
okay.
you don't even you didn't reduce your strength. It's like the volume went down.
Mm.
So there's probably some smarter people who could explain that better than us. But it was interesting when I read that.
Well, it just got rid of all the damaged craps and essence cells all around it that's been sitting on there. Probably, and
Hmm.
if you've never fasted, you probably got a whole boatload of them hanging around your organs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
hang
yeah,
around your organs and muscles, and
yeah.
it helps clear them out for you and basically function better.
Hmm. Let me see if I got anything else on here on my list because I took a bunch of notes. Yeah, fasting reduces inflammation. There was an animal study on enhancing wound healing, uh, which is cool to see. So,
Mm. Oh, just
uh,
like injury wound healing.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
just like wounds
that makes sense.
for I think pet like rats and stuff. Um, what else? Oh, the funny thing that I had an epiphany a couple years ago, where like breakfast, you hear the word breakfast and you separate it and it's break fast. Like I
Mm.
don't, I don't know if everyone
Yeah, breaks your
realizes
fast.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why they call it breakfast. Uh, but yeah, that's something that because
Yep.
initially we're fasting every night unless you're eating in the middle of the night. So at minimum, you're doing a 6, 7, 8 hour fast every night.
Mm. And the one thing as I was reading, following up on the data, is they talked about starting your feeding in the mornings, and then because they've did a decent amount of research on people and fed them the same foods in the morning and then in the evening, you have a greater insulin spike on the same exact food, whether you eat it in the morning or in the evening.
Hmm.
And then and then you don't want to eat too close to sleep either, because you don't want to be processing food when you're in the healing stage. So that's two things. But having said all that, I've always been the one that skips breakfast. It just based out of like a lifestyle eating.
Yeah.
You want to eat family with so I just try to move up our dinners as early as possible, as best as I can. And then skip breakfast, either eat like 10, 11, noon, somewhere around in there. And and I've been pretty fine myself with it. But if you want the best results, that's what I've read as far as eating, waking, maybe drinking some water and minerals, and then an hour, 2 hours in, then start your feeding, and then start that clock, and then try and cut it off at like 4 or 5 p.m. That would be the best scenario. But if you're like Randy and I, we probably, we've always done it the other way and still find pretty good benefits.
And be easier on yourself too. Like if you're adding intermittent fasting, like you don't have to be like extremely disciplined. It's not like hunter gatherers were extremely disciplined and had these like windows where they're perfect every time. I already mentioned Dr. Pompa talking about adding feast days, like where you have 1 to 2 days in your week where you're feasting, and it's important. You can, every other day you could do it. Don't like you mentioned lifestyle, like don't hurt your lifestyle, don't like not having dinner with your family. Dinner with your family is more important than a fast. And
well, one of those studies on intermittent or time restricted eating diets was 5 days during the week you could do it, and then take the weekend off, 2 days off, and then come back on Monday and start it again, and it was still showed pretty strong benefits when it comes to lean muscle mass, fat loss, and all that.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah, and just getting, I remember another thing was just like eating high protein foods is important.
Yeah, definitely, because when you're reducing your amount of meals, right? So then you want to ensure that you're getting high quality, a decent amount of protein. I had to actually focus on ensuring I get enough protein. It was, ensuring that I had meals with strong amount of protein in them.
Yeah.
In the 2 meals that I ate per day and whatever snacks I ate.
Yeah.
In that 8 hour. And like I mentioned, a lot of those studies was like a 12-hour window.
Yeah.
I'm eating in like an 8 or 10-hour window. Most of the studies was like 12 plus sometimes. So,
and you want to eat. I've seen recently like Dr. Rhonda Patrick talking about 3 hours before bedtime is like the optimal. Like you want to not eat 3 hours before bedtime. I try to do at least 2, and I'm not perfect either, but I try to do at least 2. Sometimes I'll hit a 3 hour before bedtime, but at minimum 2.
And basically no calories, just drinking water.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's
that's about it. I think we hit it.
Yeah, just start slow. Start with like an intermittent fast, and then once you start getting some courage, and try that 24-hour, 24-hour fast, and then you'll eventually
do
start
a 24-hour where you actually like do dinner to dinner, or like you want to sleep, you want a long sleep, because that's the repair, as we've mentioned.
And then eventually start gaining some courage, and maybe start in those 2-3 day fasts, and then maybe eventually getting that 5-day if you have it in you.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Appreciate you for listening.
Thanks,
I'm getting ready to go drink some water and food myself. 3 days.
Love it.
Let's go.
See you, Ron.
Later.